Okay, you guys see that we're going to go over principles of play for offense because that is our major issue right now is our offense. I thought about possibly changing our defense just to give us another defense to run, but it's really unnecessary at this point because that's not been our problem. We're keeping scores extremely low. Our problem is offense. So we're going to continue to run our man marking scheme. So that's actually our strength right now, and we're going to. Our problem is scoring goals, but a lot of offensive problems. We haven't really worked on the offense. I've been really focused on the defense as a coach, so I take responsibility that our offense is behind the defense right now. That's my fault, but it's time to try to remedy that. So first thing, let me see. Can you guys see the one I have here where it says principles of play, offense, penetration, dispersal, width, depth, support, mobility, creativity? Yes, no?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So these are the principles of play in soccer. Are people argue over the extra ones, but nobody really argues over these for offense. There's some countries will add some, but these are generally considered universal principles of soccer, no matter what country you're from or what club. You want to obviously I can get rid of this. To score, you have to penetrate, right? Like it's impossible. So it's a lot of us like to put that first, and I'm one of them. I like to put that first because you have to move the ball forward to score. So as much as we talk about playing out of the back and we want to possess, you have to move the ball forward to score. Like you have to penetrate the lines. So penetration is first. I'll just give you dispersal, width, and depth. Obviously, width is, you want to be as wide as possible. You want to have depth to disperse the field to make it harder for the defense. We'll get into what support is, but it's basically, this would be support. Just quick sneak preview of each one. T-Ben would now be supporting Marcelo. He's in a supporting position where if Marcelo runs into trouble, he can pass the ball back. It's just a simple example of support. You could also, Marcelo could be supporting T-Ben by being there. Okay, he has forward support. Mobility is simply, this could be an example of mobility where, so let's say Gavin drops in, T-Ben goes out, we're now mobile. This is just a simple rotation, right? T-Ben moves out wide so that Marcelo, the fullback, can push up. I mean, another example, Alex moves in, Jake moves up, which we wouldn't do in this situation. Because everybody's seen that run where the fullback moves up. That's simple examples of mobility. Checking in is mobility. Creativity, people will argue over it, but it's generally considered like simple example would be dribbling. A more exotic answer would be like really good passes, really insightful, creative passes, creative runs, just something above and beyond. It's difficult to define. It's one of those things where you say, when you see it, you know a creative player when you see them. You don't want to just rely on creativity. You want to have a tactical system. You want to have all the other principles and then have creativity on top of that. When all those things break down, that's why it's usually listed last. Because you want to do everything else right, all the other principles. And if you don't have any one of the principles, your offense can break down. That's why the principles mean like it's of the utmost importance to run them, to have all these principles. If you're missing any of them, if you're missing penetration, you can never move the ball forward. If you're missing depth, you can never get the ball forward to anybody. There's nobody deep enough. If you're missing width, you'll never move the ball. If you don't have width, and you've all seen youth teams play like this, right? And even some college teams, and right, you can't move the ball, right? It's impossible. It's just going to be a ping pong, right? So you need width. If you don't have depth and everyone's back here, you're never getting it. You can never play. You never get out of this. You have to have somebody deep. right? You're just gonna be playing around. So support, you need someone in a supporting role, or else if no one's in a supporting role and T-Ben has the ball there and he loses it, and it's just pan, you're screwed. You have to have someone in a supporting role in case he runs into trouble. You always have to have support behind the ball. Okay. And what's a game without creativity, right? You need someone eventually to beat somebody on the dribble at some point to make a creative pass. Okay. So now to go through each one individually and with a little more focus. So penetration. First, I'm going to show you this board right here. So let's start if we're in our own end. You've heard me say this before, that, and these numbers are here for a reason. These are the values. Number one place to go with the ball, if you can. Number two, tied. Number three, number four, number five, number six, if you can get the ball there and someone can receive it. I mean, this is the most optimal place because the goal is in the middle. So if you could beat them here and get a run and receive the ball here without being offsides, that is the most optimal. It's the easiest way to score, straight down the middle. Usually center backs will, when they see that you can play forward, they will all take a step back. So that now if you do play that ball and this guy doesn't get depth, breaks the principle, right? So if they drop back and the 9 stays and then the ball's played, so no run is made, easily defend it. Sometimes you have to make a run and go off sides. We never do that. So for us to get penetration, we have to look to play the ball forward, but our runs have to be better. We have to sometimes run offside, hand in the air, make the run, even if you don't receive the ball. The wingers are complaining and the forwards are complaining the ball's not being sent. Everyone in the back and the midfield is complaining that no one's making runs. Everything's a problem. They're both right. We need to fix both. But these runs need to be. This is definite. We're not making these runs. Sometimes you have to be offside. And then if the ball is not sent, yeah, just come back. But what happens if you run when the ball could potentially be played forward? They're going to do what? They will see our 8 with the ball. You just understand this, that a good center back, the ones we faced last night for Danubia, are good center backs. If Ben Richter sees that our 8 can play the ball forward and you make a run, you think Ben's going to stand there or he's going to drop? He's going to drop. And if he drops, what does that do now? Everyone, if just the center backs drop, it opens space where? This guy can make a run here. Okay? Or it just flat out opens space for the 10 to come in and just to simply check in and receive. So we need these runs. Okay? We need guys making runs. So those watching this film later, like, it's going to have to happen. I got to get guys in there for the EPSL team. They're going to make runs. We can't have it anymore. We can't have this stagnant offense. Okay. So I hope that made sense. To get penetration, we need the runs. You have to scare them to back up. So there's an example where if you're one of the forwards, even if the 8 doesn't send it, you can have an effect and back the back line up. We too many times the guys are just standing there like a gun's about to go off. Okay, just send the ball. Well, as soon as you're not moving, as soon as the defense sees that we can play forward, they're just going to take one step back, and you're never going to win that race. And how many of those races did we win? Pretty much 0, right? They were playing a high line, and we could have beat them. But you need to make what I like to call football runs, which is not necessarily running straight. It's coming along the line and then hand in the air. You're already moving. Then you can, as the ball is about to be played, as it's struck, You plant your foot and you go. You're in motion. If you go in motion, you have an advantage over the center backs who are caught what we call flat-footed. It's better to be in motion, even if it's sideways, even if it's in this direction, because you can plant and go, than it is just be standing still. Every good center back is taught whenever they can play forward, take a step back. And then what our guys do, they still stand there. Now you're going to lose that race every time. Every time you're going to lose that race. You have to step up again, but you're still going to lose that race because then they'll just step back again. They can always move before you. I need you to forwards understand this. The defense can always move back before you. If you move before them and the ball's played, you're offsides. You can only run flat while staying onside. Okay. But the 9 can create space for the wings. Now that ball, like I said, could be played into this space. This guy can make the run early because the center backs are holding him on side. So we need guys to start making runs. The job's open, man. All 3 forward positions are open. They're wide open. And this is a competitive team, guys, EPSL team. And that means that the B team, and hell, even the C team, the C team should be pushing the B team, and the B team should be pushing the A team. The jobs are open because we're not getting the proper runs from the forwards. Okay, so penetration. You need to know where to go with the ball. If you're going to penetrate, you need to know where to penetrate to. Okay? If nothing's open, take the easy one out to the side. Right? If nothing's open, take it out to the side. That's at least you are breaking a line. This guy can now break the first line. That's fine. You at least broke a line, right? You don't need to just force it and blast it into nowhere. Play it wide, break the line, right? He comes to you, comes out, we break another line. Very simple. Just take the easiest path. It's like in American football. They give the quarterback reads. The first read will be usually deep, but it's usually for a touchdown. Okay, you look for the touchdown first before you look for like a dump off. So you look for the deeper reads first, and if they're not on, always look deep first to the number 1 reads, number 2 reads, and then you check down. Soccer players are a lot like American football quarterbacks. You're looking deep, and then you have your own check downs. You just have to come up with your own little playbook on the fly. It's way more difficult than being an American quarterback to be a great soccer player. You have to constantly, every player on the field is a quarterback. That's why decision-making in quarterbacks is the most important thing, other than their arm strength, right, and arm accuracy. They have to have great decision-making. And same thing for soccer players. It's why certain players make it to the pros and certain players don't. They have poor decision-making, just like poor quarterback play. So you have to make good decisions. Look deep, and then check down to something simple if nothing deep is on. All right, so I think that's good enough right now for penetration. Any questions on that, or because I want to get to the other ones. But does anybody have a thought on that?
Just something I observed last night when they caught on to our man defense. Their fullbacks were pressing in as if they were wingers to try to exploit us, but that inadvertently exploited themselves on the counter, where I was able to play Wilson up the wing because the fullback was essentially pressed all the way up the field. So maybe we can, keep that in our back pocket. When they catch on to our man defense, we know that we can exploit them on the wings very easily.
So exactly. That's something we talked about. Let me see if I get this here real quick. I think I have it here. Bear with me 1 second. This is something we talked about in the last tactical. Now, this was Danubia specific. Everybody still see my screen? Where if their fullback goes up, okay, and then he's up already, they play a deep ball, whatever. Let's say Gion's the free man here, whatever. They're leaving the space here, and because Wilson's on him, If Wilson was already here on the counter, yeah, they could be aware of him. But he's here. It's actually sometimes it can be better because I think what Josh is saying is now there's space behind, and the ball can just be played over, and Wilson can start the run. Wilson can actually start the run, and he doesn't have to worry about being offsides. You just go. That's definitely something we talked about as an advantage to the man-to-man defense, that the space, if you're goal side, if we're defending right now, if we're all goal side, and he kind of comes out here, they're 8, let's say, goes in. The space is behind. The space for Nas is here. The space for Wilson is here. This guy's out wide here. Asher has space. If T-Ben's here, he has space. You're right up pushed against your defender. With man-to-man defense, I love the point that Josh brought up, because this is something that we need people to realize going forward. You're marking your guy, but then when we win the ball, let's say they attempt to pass out into here and Nas intercepts, right? You're now unmarking. You're immediately unmarking, and you're close to your guy, so you have to get good at unmarking. We're getting good at marking. Now we have to get good at unmarking, because since we are playing man-to-man defense, we're actually kind of covering ourselves. And that might be why our offense is struggling a little bit, because guys are not used to having to unmark themselves. But it is a fundamental skill in soccer. I should have put that down. It's not considered one of the principles. But to unmark yourself, I mean, even people who play zones, they will mark you. Like, were people marked by Danubia players last night? At times? Of course you are, right? Like, even zonal systems man mark. Depends on where on the field. They're gonna man mark you. The closer you get to their goal, they're gonna mark you. They don't just leave you in space all the time. Sometimes they do. We just don't like to leave anybody in space in our defense. We like to put pressure on them at all times. So Wilson now needs to unmark himself. He could unmark himself back, but that would be stupid, right? Because in this instance, because Nas is already in front of the ball. So Wilson's going to unmark himself this way. That's a clear, right? Nana could, look to make a run this way, or, because he's already here. He needs to get a running start. So he wants to kind of run and look for the ball out here. It's better to get it out there and get a running start than it is. This is one of our problems. If Nana makes the straight run here, the ball can't be played. It's going to get intercepted. This is where our runs have to be better. We need to study the runs. I know Nana has been studying them. He told me. He just messaged me. This run I might make this way, and I want the ball out here, and then I have a head of steam and I can run onto it, and then yeah.
When you just run to the back post, because the ball's going to go to Wilson, obviously.
Oh, it doesn't necessarily have to go to Wilson.
Well, I mean, they're double covering Nana, so it's going to be the ball to Wilson, into the box is going to be great, and then just crash the back.
If Nas plays the ball right away to Wilson, then yeah, then Wilson's going to dribble. Yeah, but I could make my first run this way, and if it's played to Wilson, I could just turn around and I could get ready to go to the back post. As Wilson progresses, the line will drop, and then you can look for. He would actually be looking for T-Ben would be looking for the back post. And Nana would be coming into the penalty spot or front post area. I would rather have T-Ben go to the back post, because then there's nowhere for T-Ben to go. If they both go back post, it's not going to work. There's not enough players to go back post, front post, and penalty spot. So that's pretty much important. Since we're talking about offense, that people need to understand that you are marked. I really love that Josh brought this up. You are marked because you're marking them. Therefore, if you're doing really good on defense, then you're actually covering yourself while we're on defense. So we have to get better at unmarking ourselves. It's going to make you better players, though. A lot of our guys are not used to having to unmark themselves because you play in zones and you're playing in Casa where it's like kind of a little lax, right? And guys just kind of drift around and you can just drift into space. And it's kind of random. Sometimes you're in space, sometimes you're not. No big deal. But this is essential that you have to unmark yourself. So unmarking is a fundamental part of the game. And in our system, the beauty part of it is you will be able to unmark yourself forward a lot because you're going to be goal side. But you can also unmark yourself backwards. So, for instance, if Gian got the ball, they sent, let's say, Nana was pressing, and this happened multiple times, right? The ball is going to get sent. Now, this is critical. We have to get better play from the striker. Still, I'm not happy. Like, we have to understand this ties into our offense. The defense ties into our offense. He cannot allow a back pass to the other center or a pass back to the other center back. Because at that moment, then, it's very difficult for the center back to send a ball this way if he's running. If our striker is running fast, they're not going to stand there and look to send that diagonal ball. They're going to get nervous and they're going to start to run. And as soon as we see him start to run, it's very difficult for him to plant and fire back this way. So everybody can shift over so we can win the ball. Everybody can now shift over because the ball, last night, all the balls, they love going to the right. That's where they got their goal from. They go to the right and they send it into the corner. We need to anticipate this. But I don't even blame our guys in the back for not anticipating it because the striker has been, it's not been consistent. It's not, the sweep that I asked for has not been consistent. So that job's open. Winger jobs are open. It's good news. Was Gian here? He was here and left, and that's why he don't have the job locked down either yet. All those forward jobs are open, and I might have to move Asher into the up top because they're not even defenders. The guys that are defending for us aren't even defenders. And we're starting to get more defenders now. So people need to wake up and start watching the tacticals and coming to practice. We're watching this. This allows us to win the ball. All right. When we know if the 9 does his job, the ball has to be played out in this direction and we can win it. Okay. I promised I wouldn't dwell too much on defense, but that's ties in. Now let's go back over to here. Okay. Who can move the pieces? Nobody. Can anybody move the pieces?
No luck here.
Huh? Is anybody on a computer? Chino, Ivan, Anise?
You can get on.
Yeah, I'm right here.
What?
So I'm right here.
Yeah. So I'll start moving the pieces then. If nobody can move them. Here's the link. Link to the conference. Here we go. I'll post it again. I'll start moving them. I'll help you out. So what I want to see now is dispersal, right? So we won the ball. We need to see dispersal, right? Which is you're going to see all the, like while you guys move the pieces, you're actually going to see dispersal with width and depth. You're going to see support built in, right? Right now, T-Ben supporting. Jake is going to move into a supporting position. You're going to see mobility because we're moving, right? You're going to see all the principles in play except creativity. It's the only one you're not going to see unless someone makes a particularly creative run here. You're not going to see penetration because we haven't played the ball yet. But you're going to see all the other principles of play except for just in this little maneuver, you're going to see all the principles of play except for penetration and creativity. We're seeing dispersal right now, which is width and depth. We're seeing support and we're seeing mobility. This needs to be done. When as a coach, I look first I know our guys. I hear our guys on the bench, and I hear the guys in the game, and they look at like bad touch, bad pass, and I don't look at that. Like I don't like it when we do that, but I understand that that's part of the game. Like you're gonna make a bad pass once in a while. You're gonna make a bad touch. You're gonna make a decision that wasn't optimal once in a while on the ball because you have to make a quick decision. So it's going to be wrong sometimes. We try to make as many correct decisions as we can, but you're going to make wrong decisions. Everyone, even pros do. So what I like to look for are the principles. Are all the off the ball movements correct before I blame the ball carrier? It's why I have a policy. You notice I scream at our guys for defense. I'll bench you for defense, but I generally don't get on guys for bad touches and bad decisions on the ball. I get on guys for bad off the ball decisions. I'm screaming at guys for not giving us dispersal, width, and depth, not giving us support, not giving us mobility. Before I blame the ball carrier, I blame everybody else because they're not giving the ball carrier the proper options. All right, you watch Real Madrid or Barcelona, and then you watch an MLS game. There's not a huge difference between once a guy has the ball and he's facing forward. Any pro can make a pass if someone's open. It makes a good run and provide support. You're going to see like a Real Madrid player, Barcelona, or you see MLS playing and they have like one option and it's not that good. The guy with the ball, he's got one option and it's shitty because no one's made the proper runs. I'm not saying all the time, but there's times when it's just too many times it's like one shitty option. So then it looks like the guy makes a shitty pass. You watch Real Madrid play, Barcelona, the players have like 4 options. They're all good because the off the ball movement is next level compared to the players in like an MLS or a USL Championship or even like the 3rd division in England. And of course and if I'm telling you that's bad, what do you think ours looks like? We're like, technically we're 5th division in the United States. 4th, 5th division. Ours is bad. We have to get better at it. So we now have width. I'm going to ask a question. We have width. So what principle are we breaking? We have width. We have depth. We had mobility. Right now we're not penetrating out, not letting them pass the ball. But I have a question. I'm going to give you guys a chance to fix it. Would you fix something right now for support? I'll give you a chance now to fix support because I don't like it. Thank you. This is better support.
You got to play the goalie here right away. In this situation,
let's just say he's not even under pressure right now.
No, but it's a 3-on-3. It doesn't.
He's about to be under pressure. But like, what is T-Ben? My other problem was T-Ben. Where should T-Ben go?
We got you wide.
He's not wide per se. He's too flat. You don't want to have to play the goalie.
Well, yeah, but it's a 3-on-3.
So Jake can be higher. I mean, what do you think? What do you guys think?
I think if you were in this situation, like if this is a game situation right now, you play the goalie, and then you split out wide. You have time. You don't just drop.
No, I'm saying you have time. They're not pressing you.
I low-key disagree with him.
Just show me where the nine is just like staring at him right now. You have time to move. Show me where you would move.
Who in particular?
Everybody. I don't. This is terrible.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
so
the nine is just standing there. He's eventually going to press, but you have time to move. Whether you have time, you got to move. Like we had no back support. You need a diagonal option behind the ball. Like that's support. Some people consider it like a star. You need diagonal back, diagonal forward, and then you can even have front. You need diagonal options, even not just forward, but behind. And if you can't get the diagonal forward, you need it behind to maintain possession. You do not want to make what we call square passes. I'm going to show you where T-Ben was, and we do this sometimes. This is example of we want, when you wonder why we don't possess the ball long enough, we were decent, but we need to be better. I'll leave them there. I'm going to show you. This is bad. because, and then if the ball is sent, it's a lot easier to pick off than if he was here. This is easy.
Coach, in that situation, though, I don't think that they should ever. I feel like
You're breaking up.
we should be.
You're breaking
I
up.
feel like
We can't hear you. You got to start over. You have a bad connection. So yeah, we need, you'll hear me yelling at, you know, and I try not to yell too much, but because guys have, you know, we have a lot of new guys, and not everybody goes to practice, and I hope that changes as we go, as we build culture. But like, we're too slow for my liking to provide support. Way too lazy, way too slow. You have to sprint. So like Luke's saying, like, you know, Luke's worried that you need to play the goalie, and that's totally legitimate. But like, T-Ben would need to sprint back either way. Jake needs to sprint into an option to quickly provide these safe options. Too many times we're providing dangerous, like he's just standing here. I don't want to play that ball. I do not want to play that ball. Right? You're giving Gavin a terrible decision like this. You got to back up, provide easy, safe options. I mean, I would even be okay with this, as long as you can break when we first get the ball, it should be very safe. As if Gavin's all the way back here, okay, you can try to break the line a little bit, right? You have to judge it. You have to judge it, but you cannot be offering these guys like really shit. This is terrible. Okay, this would be terrible, right? No one wants to play this ball. Nobody wants to play that ball. All right, it's like a rondo. You have to provide an option where you can play it and then break the line. Depends on how much pressure Gavin's under. If Gavin's perfectly safe, you can try to like break the line this way and get a little more even with the 7. But if Gavin just received the ball and maybe he's turned backwards and you know what I mean, and the 9's bearing down on him, like you can't be too many of our guys, like they just stand there while the 9 bears down. They're like, here, they're yelling at them, here. No. You got to like drop in and make it easy. You got to anticipate that. All right. So support needs to be better and it needs to be faster. I do, you know, when I see a guy out there not providing support, it's bad. It's bad. It's B-level players instead of our A players. You got to provide support quickly. All right. So we have depth. Now, why do we need width? Because this is like a recurrent theme. I mean, who else is frustrated? And please speak with me having to still tell guys to get wide. Because I am very frustrated with it. Okay, and I'm going to show you why. If we're not wide, show me how the defense could set up here. So we have depth, but we're not wide. Show me how they would defend this.
They would just be
I don't want
compact.
you to go, you're not even, no one's allowed outside the 18 on offense. Because that's my example of like lacking width. So show me how you would defend it. Oh, you guys move the black pieces. Pick any defense you want. It's all going to work. Doesn't matter what fucking defense you play at this point. You can play anything. It's going to be so easy. It's going to be so easy to defend. You could play Manchester United's defense at this point. It won't even fucking matter.
Well, that's hash.
Well, you're gonna want. You're not gonna want. You're gonna want to at least keep some guys back. I mean, they have 3 to your 2, 4 to your 3. You got to keep a guy back. Okay, 4, 5. Keep the 2 back. Okay, we would push the line forward first off, right? Make them all sides. So let's do that. Okay. And then hold. Okay, they can just simply set up, easy peasy. And even this is not like the greatest defense, but even this is going to be extremely compact. There's nowhere to play the ball. There's nowhere to play the ball. You can play to Joel's feet, and then he's immediately pressed. And when he is, he has no one to play to. No one's wide. If Marcelo was out here and had width, now you'd have an option. And this is what our team looks like. When I see guys standing here, and then what side is the ball on? This side. Should there still be someone wide on the right side? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And like I am telling you, I can't wait till I can get 18 guys to the game. Because you guys know I have a quick trigger. I don't have a lot of patience. And now I've been doing it for defense, but now we're going to be focused on the offense. If I'm not getting width, I'll just burn it. They're giving me 7 subs. I'm just going to burn a sub. I'm just going to burn a sub.
And what
When I
that
get
does is when the striker is just in one place, it just confuses the strikers. He has no space, and then everybody expects the 9 to
Yeah.
make magic.
So right now, Gian has nothing to do. So we might as well get wide, right? In anticipation. It's got nothing to do. Right? Jake should be spreading out. Okay, Julio, principle of width. All right, principle of width. And now they've created a little diamond shape there. At this point, Gavin can't get back. Pam would probably just drop in to support here. Okay. Gavin would be dropping as well, just in case. He's still going to be behind the ball. You need somebody behind the ball. Pam was closer, so Gavin will go here. And then you might even be able to just do this. If this guy was closed down, no worries. Play to Pam, play to Gavin, play out to Jake. Now, the reason Jake is wide, or is like with Jake, the reason he's getting wider, he's like right about here. As soon as he sees this ball played, he needs to be close enough that he could be on the line. Because he needs to anticipate the switch. If Jake is too slow to react and stays here, and then we switch it, he's immediately closed down. And he can't even play to Alex now. Too slow. Whereas if Jake anticipated it, as the ball is being switched through and comes out, now this guy can't get to him. We can fire that ball out to him and we break the line. You cannot be running to the sideline as the ball is approaching. It's too late. If Jake had to run to the sideline as the ball was approaching and they had to play him out this way, and then Jake receives it, he's going to receive it facing the sideline because he wasn't wide enough, and then the 7's going to close him down because he's facing the wrong way. He needs to be already opened up to the field as the ball is being swung through. He needs to already be opening to the field and on the line before the ball gets to him. So he's in a position to read the field and then immediately play a first time 1 or 2 touch ball. If he's running backwards and the ball out of desperation, because he's too close to the 7 now, is played, now it's going to be too hard for him to play into Nas. Too dangerous. What if it's picked off? And this is where the teams that get good off the ball movement make the passes easier for the ball carrier, thus have a higher pass completion percentage and a higher possession rate. And then get more scoring opportunity because now we're penetrating, right? So we need the support. This is an example of support and width. So that needs to be better. We need better off the ball movement. Okay, so we had, and there's a perfect example of mobility. Now, we need balls played to the striker's feet. Not every ball. Well, here, let's go back to here. Here. Where is the read? Where's the read now? Where do you play the ball now? Let's say this guy's open. Okay. Where do you play the ball? This guy's open. Where do you play the ball? Don't be shy.
I think the sequence that worked here, we actually played the 8, and then the wing would be wide open for the fullback or the winger.
You could do that. What I'm trying to get at is, at this point, we need to get the hell out of here. And I'm not a kick and run coach, but at this point, like, that ball needs to be, unless the guy doesn't have a big enough foot to make it. If you don't, you might have to quick bounce, what I tell them, and then bounce and then step into it. But we have big boys. That ball needs to be sent.
Yeah, if it's at the half line,
because the space, here's why. Later, I'm going to tell you to play it to the 8. I'm going to show you in a second when we would play it to the 8. But right now, this ball needs to be sent because this is too dangerous to play in here. Like, for me, I would love them to play this ball once we get good at cover shadows, because we're just going to cover shadow, right? Cover shadow, and we're going to, so I want that ball played into this space, and then we go. Now, we need to understand that when they play a high line on us, and this, he needs to make a run here. He needs to anticipate and already be making the run. All right. It can't be flat. This is why you're wide, because if you're wide and they play close like this is easy. If you're wide and he comes over to cover, well, now it makes it a little easier to send the ball into this gap and the 9 to run onto it, because the 3 is further away. It's harder for him. The 3's here and you try to play that ball. The 3 just picks it off. But the 3 has to go out a little wider. The 9 can now make this run, and then the ball can be sent, and the 9 can run onto it because the 3's too far away to help. You get 1v1. You don't get, okay? So we have to have that width. Now I want to show you when the ball should be played to feet, but I need to show this part because we're still not sending the ball over the top enough. We actually got, in the beginning of the game, we got a lot of through balls in. But I thought, our striker, we didn't get onto them. But I'm more talking about when we're on our back line and they decide we're playing out of the back and they play a high line, we got to set it deep. Now here's an example of a low block. When we do see a low block or a mid block, let's see a low one. Well, now when we have a low block, now you do have to play to feet. This is, and we end up doing the opposite. Now what I see is we just get the ball out here, and then this guy just like fires the ball in. Like, that's exactly when you don't play in over. You're not gonna, even though that's the first read, that's not a good read right now, right? So you need to pull these guys out of slot. I'm going to show you how. We need to play in, we need to work the ball now, all right? And play into the striker's feet. Have the striker check in, and if he can make a run, if they don't follow him, okay, he can turn and he can drive now, and then look to, play through to the 10. Okay, if they don't follow him. If they do follow him, when we get it into the 8 checks into the half space. Okay, we need to be a little more possession oriented, play to feet in this area. So we play here instead of just dumping the ball in, play it out, and you don't have to go wide. Look, come back in, and then now if he checks in and the 5 follows him, right? You don't have to play him the ball. Now you could actually just chip him. Now I don't mind if you chip over, right? Or you could play to the 9's feet, lay it off, and throw. It's called an up, back, and through. Up, back, through. Into the space vacated. We will work on this at practice. You need to work on this at practice. So those watching the video, if you're not at practice, you're going to have difficulty doing this. It's just something that needs to be trained a lot of times. We're going to do a lot of this. We're going to start to work on our up, back, and throughs, playing to feet, playing back, and then playing through to penetrate when we're in their zone. We, not just us, most teams have trouble scoring against a deep block. But we want to be able to score against the deep block. We want to be able to score against a high block, a deep block, a mid block. We want to be able to score against all of them. So it's something we're going to work on. So I need you as a training to work on that. So yeah, the example, we need to start playing to feet, draw them out of position. All right. They probably won't even follow you at first. You'll just get a free release. And you'll be able to now take a guy on, or, the 7 can now make the run. You could play him in. Okay. So we need the width. We need the depth. We need the principles of play. And we'll be working on them this week. At training, we'll have at least 4 practices this week. So any questions before I wrap it up? I think I covered the principles of play decent enough and intersperse some other stuff for us to get our offense going. Any thoughts? Did I miss anything? Luke, Ivan, Josh, Anise, Nana?
Are we going to go over any set pieces in practice, or we don't have the capability to do that?
We're not. I mean, I generally don't do. I generally will do that if it's a defensive problem at first. Like, it's not like we'll never do it as we develop as a club, and we take care of the what I consider the more important pieces. That would be like a last piece offensively. But if I saw that it was a problem defensively, we would address that right away. I don't see it right now as a huge defensive liability, unless I'm mistaken. That's a massive liability. As long as we're marking up, it seems like we're able to take care of it. But I could be wrong. I feel like that our goals are not coming from their set pieces, correct? They're not. Except in Casa. In Casa they are, but that's the B team. So I'm not gonna. That's because they're just terrible at marking.
My only thing is like it's not about skill right now. It's about the mental, because soccer is a mental and a skillful game. You just remember, we play for 90 minutes, 45. So the thing is, like, get the person you're covering, or look around, just expose everybody's weakness and then pass it around. That's my thing. Is just like you have a long time to study your opponent. If you could be his
Well, I think what I've been saying.
Go ahead.
What I've been saying is going back to what we talked about. Since we play a man marking scheme, you got 90 minutes to get to know your opponent, get to know what he likes to do, to shut him down, and then what he doesn't like you to do, how to unmark yourself. We need the players. It's why I like this system, because I believe it makes better soccer players, because it makes you think the whole game.
Like you said, like you compare soccer to American football. If a quarterback knows that cornerback is weak, he's always going to target that side. It's the same thing in soccer. If you know that defender's weak, play to him all the time. Expose him until they make a change.
Yeah, and we definitely need to get better at unmarking. You can unmark behind yourself, behind the opponent. You can unmark towards their goal. Here would be an example. Unmarking yourself with the 8, just sit in his zone. Right? He doesn't have to check in because he's in a good. This would be more advanced, but like the 8 is in a good position right now. Even though he can't get the ball from, and this is where we have to stop the unnecessary check-ins. The 8 has to read right now that the 5 is open, right? And that if the 5 received the ball, he can play. We do this in the rondos, right? Think of this as a rondo, right? A 4v2 rondo. There you go. Right? Against the front line. Okay. So if he wants to, he can check in, right? You bounce it, draw him over, right? Got to play it back. There's still nothing open, right? Because they're covering there. So you have to do what? Switch it. And if he doesn't get over there in time, boom, you break the line. That's why we do the rondos. Okay, we will be doing a lot. Now we will be focusing on the rondos. When I've been doing the rondos freeze, I've been focusing on the defensive part of the rondos. Now you will see a different gym. We will be focusing on the offensive part to break the lines. And you will break the lines. This is perfect. Like this is the break the glass we talked about, right? Where, you know, it goes across and then you can also break the glass this way. This guy did make a run. Well, let's just leave it at that. I don't know. We're about to stop. So this is perfect. If the 8 checked in here, it would be bad, right? So in other words, he's already in a position to receive if the ball goes to the 5. If he checks in, right? Yes, he could in theory, but if this guy's smart, he can take that away. He could in theory play over, right? But now he plays over and there's nobody here to receive, right? He could spin off, but this is just unnecessary. Just stay there, right? And the ball can be played and then it can be played right in. So you have to anticipate the next pass. And this is soccer requires great intelligence. And we're going to work on the rondos so you can see that. You do enough of 4v2 rondos, you'll see when to not move. Sometimes you have to not move. All right. So but we have to work on that. I'm not going to go through a whole bunch of permutations of all the movement because we only have like a minute or two left. We're going to do that this week, and then we'll go over the game situations we'll do the rondos this week. We'll try to explain what part of the pitch we're doing them for, and then we'll come back for the tactical and talk about it Saturday a little bit more in depth. But we should have some good offensive practices this week. Okay, so good job. Thank you to those who are here. All right, it's good to have an audience, even though I know you guys can watch it later, but you're helping the club, your teammates. You're part of the guys that show up to these things. Every time we win. On any of the levels, A, B, or C team, you're a part of it because you're pushing us forward. Because soccer is a mental game. Our club has to get smarter. As a club, we need to get smarter. It's not unlike a classroom. We need a lot of A students to push the class forward, to push.
And not only that, the more live feedback, the better.
Exactly. And I need you guys to push me. And if I'm not explaining it well, or if you have an idea, you guys have great ideas, and that makes me think as well. So, cheers. It's beer time for me. And I'll see you guys on the pitch this week. Later on.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good night.